And now we're rolling into gaming and tech. This week in gaming and tech, honestly, everything that we're doing, basically, like 99.9% of everything we're going to be talking about comes from the Xbox Showcase and the Ubisoft Forward event. So yeah, that's really all I've got for an intro for this section. So let's do it. Welcome, nerds, to this week's edition of the Gaming and Tech News, generally speaking. Now, I'm no Linus or Spawnwave or Gamers Nexus or insert channel that is dedicated to the tech and gaming news here. That's not what you're getting here. This is just enough to keep you informed, generally speaking. We do this just about every week as part of a larger news show called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel. You can find that linked down in the description or at the end of this video. Now let's talk about some gaming and tech and maybe even some like photo, video kind of news as well. Okay, so first up, we have the Xbox Games Showcase. It was a little over an hour long, and it was jam-packed full of stuff. So we're going to go over the real quick things right now, the bigger trailers that they launched. We will go over in the trailers section in a little bit more detail. Right now, we're just going to run through kind of some of the impressions for the other noteworthy things that weren't exactly ones that I wanted to go into great depth in the trailers. So we have State of Decay 3. This definitely feels to me like Left 4 Dead. So that's pretty great, honestly. It looks pretty awesome. We have the Fallout 76 map expansion finally rolling out today as I'm filming. So yesterday, probably as you're watching. And we got Expedition 33. Looks like Skyfall Interactive's next Souls-like game. I was uncertain as to who the developer was on this, but it's got a very Western look to the Souls-like kind of stuff. So I'm be interested to see how this one rolls out. It's a very interesting premise as well. It's a trailer that's worth looking into if you don't want to watch the entire Xbox Games Showcase. And then we got the Diablo 4 expansion, Vessel of Hatred, coming out this October. Something that started, that was rolling out on the Microsoft stuff. All right, so Microsoft is the largest company in the world. They are by far and beyond like the most profitable country in the world, and their Xbox Games Showcase had games that were muted for copyright reasons. It's a little ridiculous. Like, just pay the extra money or YouTube sort your shit out, because this is insane that the game has the right to use the music. So the people who developed the trailer for the game put it in the trailer because they have the right, but Microsoft doesn't have the right. Like, this is way too stupid and complicated. There's no reason for it. Let's simplify this nonsense so that we don't ever have to do that again. And I doubt that's going to happen, but here's to hoping. Then we have Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. It looks like sounds like AI Harrison Ford voice, which is an interesting take. Maybe it's a voice actor doing a fairly good impersonation of Harrison Ford, but there are definitely moments in that trailer that sound like they took young Harrison Ford voice and fed it into like 11 Labs or something and used that to generate the dialogue, because it doesn't sound like grizzled old man Harrison Ford who lives today. It sounds like Harrison Ford when they made the first Indiana Jones movie, which is very, very interesting. The release date on that one is 2024 sometime. The next one that was really freaking cool was Mecha Break. It is launching this August. That looks like it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. If you're into the mech games, then yes, go check that one out. Wu Chang Fallen Feathers. We finally have a release window. It is a very broad window, but a window nonetheless. That is 2025. Atom Fall looks like a very interesting Fallout reimagining in a way. It's not the same kind of retro futurism. This one is a little more of the futurism degraded into historical kind of. I don't know. It's a really cool trailer. I'm very intrigued by the idea of it because it is, like I said, a very similar take on post-apocalyptic world to Fallout, but
very different in some key areas. We have a release date for that one, or a release window for that one as well, as 2025. We have the announcement, and this is kind of where we're going to leave off of the general things for Xbox Games Showcase. We have the announcement of the new digital console for the Series X. So this is the new console that we've been hearing a little bit about in the rumor mill, or postulating might be announced at this game showcase. It's just a digital version of the Series X console. So for those that don't know why they would be doing this, because there's already a digital only version of the Series S, remember that the Series X is a much more powerful console. It's proper 4K, whereas the Series S is 2.5K, I believe. And you get a more powerful GPU, a more powerful CPU, and more storage. I think there's something else I'm leaving out. But either way, basically, the only difference between that Series X that they have announced in the game showcase and the Series X that I bought is that the Series X that I bought has a physical media drawer, or a physical media slot, I guess, whereas the all-digital one will not be able to accept physical media. So, and then they also announced color options for existing hardware, which is okay. That's worthy of a giant announcement. So that's basically what we got that's noteworthy but not huge for Xbox Games Showcase. Ubisoft Forward, I'm going to save you an hour and 10 minutes of your time. Go check out the gameplay chunk of Star Wars Outlaws, because it kind of gives you a little bit more of a feel for what that game is. Kind of Star Wars meets Metal Gear, which looks really cool. And then the Prince of Persia stuff. Everything else that happened in the Ubisoft Forward was absolutely not worth your time. Prince of Persia Sands of Time, the remake, was given a release window in that whole Prince of Persia section, which is sometime in 2026. So we are 2 years away from getting the Sands of Time remake that we've been waiting for. It's, I think, like 4 to 6 years already. I can't remember exactly. And then that puts us into the trailers. So now we're going to get into a little bit more detail of some of the bigger trailers. So the first thing in the Xbox Game Showcase was Call of Duty Black Ops 6. We got a couple of things to talk about here. We got the pre-order. If you follow the link to the video, you can go to the pre-order there. There's also a link to the pre-order if you don't care to watch a trailer. You already know you're going to get Black Ops 6. I have a link to the pre-order down in the description as well. The interesting part about this, aside from the fact that the trailer looks badass, but it will require an internet connection even for single player modes. If you have followed Call of Duty Black Ops 6 in your game console, or you pull up the digital version on your console, you must be connected to the internet to play it. Even for single play, that's just, we are in such a weird time for gaming. The next trailer that absolutely you must go check out from the Xbox Game Showcase is Doom Dark Ages. This one was rumored. This is confirmation of the rumor. We now know for sure that this is a thing that's happening. It is going to be released sometime 2025, as well as we're getting mechs in Doom. That looks so awesome. The next one in the release for the game showcase. Wow, sorry, words. Game showcase. The next one is Starfield Shattered Space, the expansion for Starfield. Will this be enough that is going to get people to come back to this game? I don't know. I think that Bethesda really needs to overhaul their game dynamics, the way that they develop gaming, in order for fans to really come back in droves. The trailer looks interesting, but kind of, I don't feel it, man. I don't feel the excitement for this expansion like I feel like we should. The next one from there is South of Midnight. This is another example of games as art, in my opinion. This one looks, I mean, we talked about it when it was originally announced. I think it was the last year. It might have been the year before, but I'm pretty sure it was the last year. But there wasn't a whole lot there. Now it looks like it's going to be a Souls-light, I think is how I heard them describe it. But just the visuals of this game look pretty freaking awesome. It's like stop motion animation in a video game, and everything looks like the image that conjured in your brain when I said those words. That's basically exactly how this looks, and I'm kind of excited to see it executed properly. And then we got the Metal Gear Solid Delta gameplay. Oh man, there's a lot here. There's actually 2 trailers here. One of them was not released during the games showcase. It's David Hayter, kind of behind the scenes, a little more in-depth kind of situation where he goes over just how much they have changed the mechanics of this game. So gameplay wise, as far as the way you control Snake and the way you control the camera, you have 2 options. You can switch between legacy controls. So if you're really an old school Metal Gear Solid gamer like I am, and that's how you want to play the game, you want to play it just like you remember it, then that is absolutely an option. Or you can play it in the updated gaming control scheme, which they didn't really go into any sort of great detail as to what exactly that means. But I mean, I haven't played anything since Snake Eater, so I probably will be playing the legacy controls anyway. But David freaking Hayter is actually doing the voice again, and there's a little bit in the behind the scenes about that. This just looks fantastic. One of the really, really cool elements that they have updated for this version of the game, aside from the visuals, obviously, is the damage system. So if you get shot, the character model is wounded in real time. So those wounds will go with you throughout the rest of the game. You have to address them, and you have to take care of yourself while going through this game. So it's going to be ridiculous levels of detail. And this is kind of what I've been waiting for. Like, I know I could play something like Tarkov or one of the new Tarkov replacement games now that Tarkov's dying. But I just, that seems a little daunting. Like, it's a level of detail that I'm not sure I'm ready for in a game. But this Metal Gear seems like, because I'm familiar with the franchise and because it seems like this added element of detail is exactly what I've been looking for in a game for a while. So I'm even more stoked for this game. The next trailer that we're going to talk about is Perfect Dark. This is a very interesting update for the franchise in that we have some more mobility options. Now, I never really played any sort of in-depth for the first 2 games, the original release and then the sequel. I didn't play those in any sort of depth, but I don't remember any parkour elements for it. It's the studio, it's Rare, giving us another FPS because they kind of hit it out of the park with GoldenEye, and then they were like, okay, well, we can't make another franchise game like that, but we can definitely take what we've learned from that and make something equally as awesome, and that's what they did with Perfect Dark. Perfect Dark, the sequel, there's things there. Go watch what happened about that one if you want to really get into that kind of rabbit hole. But this new remaster, remake, whatever the hell you want to call it, looks like they are adding some really interesting like platforming elements, a la some parkour. I can't remember was it State of Decay? I don't think it was State of Decay, but there was like a post-apocalyptic zombie game that came out a few years ago, and then I'm totally drawing a blank on right now, that it looks like it's merging that kind of gameplay elements into it, and that looks pretty damn awesome. And then Fable, we got a release window for Fable. The only reason I put this in this section instead of the previous section is because it's Fable, and it's like it's one of the coolest RPGs on the Microsoft ecosystem, so we have to kind of go in a little bit more detail here. I feel like this trailer conveys the look of the game a little bit better than we've gotten previously. They've definitely updated the character models. We have a release window is 2025, so sometime next year, and we got a little bit better flavor of the humor associated with this franchise. Not the best. It's still kind of leaving a little bit to be desired, but I feel like this is going a good way in reassuring fans of the franchise that they're not just going to drive it into the ground. So go watch the trailer. Again, links for everything are down in the description. So if you want to go watch any of these, I do definitely encourage it. That's why we're spending this time talking about it. Go check it out. Follow links down there. The next one that we're talking about is Fragpunk. This is another FPS. It's a hero shooter. Release window is 2025. It's not the one that leaked out, but it still looks pretty interesting. It's an interesting take on the free-to-play hero shooter. 5v5 instead of 4v4, and it's card-based. So your power-ups are cards that are scattered through the level. Also cards that I think you can start each round with. It really looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. So yeah, Fragpunk is definitely a trailer to go watch, and maybe you'll get as excited as I am. So from there, we're going into the final trailer that they ended the game showcase with, and that is Gears of War E-Day. So we see Marcus and Dom both together again in another game. So that's hype in and of itself. I've got some speculation revolving around this, though. We're gonna get to in the speculation section of the rumor mill. But yeah, it looks like there's a lot of possibility that this is gonna be awesome. But I have my doubts, so definitely go to check out the rumor mill section if you want to hear a little bit more about that. But yeah, check out the trailer too. And then outside of the Xbox game showcase, we have Street Fighter 6. We got a new trailer there. That's the M. Bison trailer. Bison drops June 26th. And then the final trailer for this episode. Oh boy, we went through so many. We have Starship Troopers Extermination. So this is an interesting game. We talked about this originally. It's been in early access on the PC exclusively for almost a year. By the time it goes live for season 1, it will be over a year. Excuse me. And it's such an interesting timing because we've had Helldivers release since it's been in early access, and Helldivers is kind of like another version of the same idea behind Starship Troopers, at least the movie version of Starship Troopers, which the game is just an extension of the movie version of the IP. So October 11th is when it is going into season 1. There is going to eventually, I did not see a proper release date for this, but eventually there is going to be a physical release as well. It could be October 11th that they're releasing the physical version. I did not see that explicitly laid out, so I'm not going to hold my breath. But you can download digitally on October 11th. That's when season 1 rolls out, and that's when single player rolls out, and that is also when the console support rolls out. So it is going to be cross-platform between all three, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. And once it rolls out again, October 11th is when the Starship Troopers game is going to happen. So that is what we have for trailers. News, I guess, is go watch the... Oh, and WWDC happened. I don't have notes for that one yet. I haven't watched it because that's the time since that's been going and since filming. We'll just have to talk about that next week because there is a lot there. I just, again, don't have the notes. So from there, we're going to kill this section with the gaming suggestion this week. We have Metroid Dread for the Switch, a return to the 2D gaming, the Metroidvania style that we kind of know and love, and that Metroid is one of the reasons why it exists, hence the name Metroidvania. And it's 2.5D, as they like to refer to such things. It's rendered in 3D, but it's only a two-dimensional motion. And just, I mean, one of the more difficult Metroid games that you've ever probably played. And it was, I mean, it suffers from the same downfalls as all Metroid games from that of that style, but always worth a play. So that is your suggestion for the week, Metroid Dread. That brings us to the end of the video, nerds. Thank you very much for joining me for the news. Once again, there is a full and probably much more up-to-date and recent episode of the news, the full-length version, if you will, called The Week in Nerddom over on the main channel, linked down in the description, and probably link popping up somewhere around my face right about now. So click on that, go check that out as well, or if you prefer your news in more truncated pieces, then by all means, just stick around here and go check out some of the other stuff we offer on this channel. Thank you very much for joining me. We will see you in the next one. Before we go, always remember, nerds, that if it is generally nerdy, it's probably here.